Thank you for taking time to tune in and listen to Michelle and I talk about last 9 months at our rotations within the coastal region. My name is Alex Rupi. I'm an engineer one. I'm originally from Santa Rosa. I've been with Granite for the last 9 months, working in Capitola, California on Highway 1, predominantly as a structures engineer. So I've been handling a lot of the structure scope with bridges, sound walls, retaining walls, doing a lot of the field and the work planning for that. Before I started with Granite, I went to Syracuse University in upstate New York, where I got my bachelor's in civil engineering. And then Monday of next week, I'm reporting to the Valley region to work on the Sacramento Weir, again as a structures engineer. So we're going to go over a little bit about what I've been doing while I've been at Highway 1 Capitola. I started here when they were working on the first lift of the soil nail and horizontal ground anchor retaining walls. I also played a part in the valley gutter for those walls, the work plan and follow through for sound wall 136, and then flat work for McGregor Drive. Then the last month or two, it's been a lot of planning the structures that we have coming up. So we have two bridges, both the Capitola overcrossing and the Mar Vista pedestrian overcrossing, where I've been working on the CIDH staging plans and developing the plan of how we're going to go in and do that work. I've also taken the lead on the Park Avenue undercrossing, where we're removing the existing barrier and replacing it with a up to code or up to Caltrans spec barrier, as well as some of the planning for the Bay Porter retaining walls, which will go on the Bay Porter on and off ramp. So this photo on the left shows my first day here. It's the first lift of retaining wall 2 running parallel to Highway 1. This is on the northbound side. So as you can see, we have that first lift cut, the center of those soil nails marked out into the side of the wall. And then moving forward, we have that first lift completed. So you see shotcrete, the bearing plates set, all this initial steel set in there with the iron workers, our iron subcontractor coming in and installing the steel on the wall. And then that third photo is the shotcrete being sprayed onto the second lift of wall 2. This is what they look like now, these two photos, as well as the architectural sculpting process. So this is retaining wall 2, roughly 900 feet, 20 feet tall, and then retaining wall 1 on the other side of the highway. Now, going back to this first one, on day 1, I remember sitting with Brian Nassar. He was trying to explain to me what quantity claiming, how to scheme it, how to do different percentages, trying to wrap my head around what a soil nail was, and it kind of all went over my head. I was new, I didn't know a lot. And by the end of this, I was tasked with developing the field operation report for this. So our team had a lot of lessons learned building these walls. There was a lot of things that if we could go back, we'd do differently. And instead of us just sitting on that, I developed this field report that walks through the layout that we did. It walks through some of the things to look out for while you're building them, some of the lessons we've learned, how to avoid them. This table of contents kind of gives you that overview of what's included in this. So for those layouts, this is just how to lay out the location of the soil nails and those ground anchors, how to set the depth for the initial shotcrete to make sure you're covering exactly what's set for initial, as well as the bearing plates and ground anchor trumpets, how to make sure they're set to the right depth, right angle. We had a lot of difficulty with this where we had to go back and fix a lot of these different aspects. So this is a hope that it's a guide for anyone building in the future these walls to use this as a resource to make sure you don't make those same mistakes. Also highlighted some of those things that we did, some of the lessons we learned. That first page is the things to look out for while you're building these walls. What should you be doing? What should you be looking out for to make sure everything's covered? As well as a couple pages of photos that show some of the things we encountered. And all of these photos have sections on what we encountered, what was difficult with it, what was wrong about it, how we fixed it, and also a section on if we could go back, how we'd avoid it in the future. So the hope of this is if Granite's building another wall like this in the future, this is a helpful resource to make sure those mistakes aren't repeated. Once those walls were complete, we did the valley gutter that runs the whole length of both walls. We had in the morning, the take 5 going over the overhead power. We talked about falling. Safety was a big thing here just because there was a lot going around. But this was one of my first concrete pours, aside from shotcrete, that I got to be a part of. So it was a learning experience, setting it up, being up there early, making sure light plants were set up. But this was a helpful thing that I learned a lot from. We also did a sound wall, 136. So this is the photo of what the site looked like when we got there. We neat cut the trench and had our drilling sub come in and install the CIDH, which then got passed over to our mason foreman, who set up this rebar template for the vertical steel coming out. We spent a lot of time planning how to do this template to make sure that steel came out exactly where we wanted to, so that they were on the center of the cell of those mason blocks. Just because our superintendent told us some stories about having them not line up and how it's difficult to go back and fix that mistake. So this was a big emphasis of the work plan. Then it got passed off to our mason sub, who came in and set the blocks. And then this is that finished wall that is on site today. So another big thing that I've been working on the last couple months has been work planning. Right as I'm leaving, we have 2 structures starting, as well as a bunch of sound walls. So I've been digging into a lot of the work planning for that. The Park Avenue undercrossing I took the lead on, where we are removing the existing barrier on the outside edge of the bridge passing on Highway 1. This is a very complicated piece of work where we have Park Avenue, which is a county road running under the bridge, Highway 1 running on top of it. So traffic control and working through how we're going to do this work, either night shift, day shift, when we're going to get people in there with access, has been complicated. Just one part of this work plan that I've done is on the left. This is looking at the clear spacing. So the plans show drill and bonding every 5.5 inches throughout the entire length of the bridge. And when I was looking into that, I realized that this does not meet Caltrans spec of spacing between bars. So I set up this detail to try to show Caltrans that we had an issue with that clear space and submitted it over to them. This one on the right is when we were looking at the plan on how we were going to form the wing wall that's highlighted in red. We were focusing a lot on the haunch on the outside of the wing wall. And through looking at the different pricing for forming this, we determined that if we were to just kick out that bottom edge of the wing wall to that outside edge and make it a rectangle, we would be spending more on concrete, but we'd be saving on the forming side of it. So I detailed out what the different rebar would look like for that kick out, and it was stamped and signed by Caltrans, so I like to consider it my first ever designed and stamped drawing. Next bridge we're working on is the Mar Vista pedestrian overcrossing. So this is a bridge that's spanning over Highway 1 it's going to actually have 2 different radius curves after it's in redesign right now. But it's a curved bridge that goes over Highway 1. The biggest thing that I've been looking into here is our access to do the foundations and CIDH on the northbound side. The Caltrans right-of-way is pretty much, I think the closest is 9.5 feet to the edge of the foundation for abutment 17. And it's giving us no access to get equipment in here. So figuring out the staging plan for this side specifically of the bridge has been an emphasis of the last month or so. To look into this, I developed some cross sections for it. The main goal of this was to see the different components that would be put in this section of the bridge and how we would be able to gain access to it. So this is that Caltrans right-of-way. The red highlighted is the CIDH going into the ground. This green, I put a 2-to-1 slope coming off of it to have that safe excavation. You have the isolation casing going around it with the columns spanning up. And then that blue is the false work pad and corbels that'll be placed there as well. So this is just to give the team a general overview of what components are going to be in this section. and what are we going to have to work around? Where can we build access roads? I think my team can attest cross sections have been helpful in the planning and staging of this bridge. We're still trying to figure this out. It's something that'll be worked on after I leave, but I believe these cross sections will definitely help the team moving forward. Last bridge is the Capitola overcrossing. When I got here, the abutments and the wing walls had already been poured. We worked on those retaining walls, the sub-horizontal ground anchor walls. And right now we're getting set up to mob in to do the CIDH for Bent 2. So I've been focusing on the staging and the work plan for these. So this is one snippet of the staging plan. I developed, I think it's 4 or 5 different sheets that show the different phases of the CIDH work. So it's where we're going to stage things, how we're going to get deliveries in here, where we're going to get them in to the median, how we're going to get them out. Our PCDC, our drilling sub, has been playing a major part in this to make sure that we give them the access and the clearance that they need, while also ensuring we have the proper spacing for us to get in there. And then some additional cross sections I developed for this, showing the existing foundations of the bridge that used to be there, that was demoed, I believe, back in March. It shows the CIDH, the cutoff that we're going to be pouring to. This is just to get a visual of what we're going to be building moving forward. And these also have helped me learn the bridge themselves. I was new to learning structures plans. I'd never really seen them outside of a classroom. And getting in there and turning it from the 2D on the paper to a cross section that shows every component to scale at elevations has helped me build these in my head to make sure we're not missing anything in the work plan. And then wrapping up my section, just some lessons learned and advice I've been given, as well as some feedback for the boot camp. One thing that I've heard through all of the boot camp trainings, either it's NEO or Structure Center of Excellence, was the idea of being dependable. It's something that I keep in the back of my head every day, that if I say I'm going to do something, I need to make sure I follow through and do it. That builds trust with the crews and the team members. And it's been something that I think has helped me be successful in my role. One of the engineers on my job gave me the advice of answering the phone, even if it's 8 p.m. at night. Either you're going to learn something new when you pick up the phone and someone comes to you with a problem, or you're going to figure out how you're going to learn something new to get the answer for someone. Asking questions has also been pivotal. I'm a new engineer. I don't know a lot. I'm still learning. And I found that some of the questions I ask, even if everyone in the room already knows the answer, it has often led to conversations that have steered the plan of how we're going to go about something. It's led to RFIs. It's led to things that have been overlooked by others, where asking the question that may seem dumb actually most of the time helps. And then also just developing relationships. It's been clear that people can either put you in a jam or help get you out of one. We've been working with a lot of subcontractors, a lot of Granite crews, and having a relationship with the people in the field as well as those in the office helps the job tremendously. That's something that I am going to continue working on as I go to Sacramento, is developing my relationships with a new region and a new team. Some feedback I have for boot camp. I think the most helpful things for me were the guest speakers at the different events, getting to hear from senior level representatives, getting to hear their tips, their advice, what worked for them. I'm someone where when I hear things like that, it stays with me. And when I go back to the job, I'm playing it over in my head. I'm applying it day to day. And I've seen my work level increase after these trainings because of the different tidbits that I got from different people, as well as networking. The team that I have has been pivotal in that. We've gotten really close working on it, and I've been able to go and meet other people from other regions, other new engineers in the rotation program, and I feel like I have a network of people driving my development as an engineer. The trainings were also helpful, learning the different softwares, and kind of getting an insight into the admin process of Granite. One of the hard things is I am leaving this job 2 weeks, 3 weeks before all of these structures are beginning. So it's a little bittersweet. I'm excited to go to a new job on a new structure and get to continue learning. But I do feel like the learning here isn't done. I still think there's a lot that I have to get from this job. Um, so it is a little bittersweet moving on. But I am excited to go to Sacramento, learn with the new team, and get to expand my knowledge of how to be an engineer at Granite.